Hi everybody, we are doing a press conference today because we want people to be aware of House Bill 4246, a bill that would nullify the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty. So we're here today to talk to to state senators and anybody else here at the Capitol who is an elected official. We're here to talk to them about the devastating effects of what this pandemic treaty would do to the sovereign state of South Carolina. And I brought with me Dr. Robert Jackson. We have former State Representative Vic Dabney to talk here today about this important matter, because right now President Biden and his administration already want to enforce parts of this pandemic treaty that's being brought on by the United Nations, and it's not even agreed upon yet, but yet they're wanting to start using their federal power, which we did not give them in the U.S. Constitution. They're wanting to use that against the state of South Carolina. And we cannot allow that to happen, because we saw how badly the United Nations and the federal government, how badly things went with the last so-called pandemic. And so without further ado, Dr. Robert Jackson, thank you for being here.
I would like to alert our representatives and our senators to the danger that I see coming down the road from this UN treaty for pandemic preparation, preparedness, and response. I'm very concerned for the citizens of our state and our nation if this treaty should be enacted. I'm concerned that the Biden administration is trying to bypass the U.S. Senate by approving this treaty without the two-thirds vote of our Senate, which the Constitution requires for the approval of treaties. If this treaty should be approved, either with the approval of the Senate or by the Biden administration bypassing the Senate and approving it on its own, I'm concerned that it would create an additional authority for the UN over citizens of our state and our nation. It would undermine the sovereignty of the United States and the individual states. There are provisions there that would provide for passes or passports for travel. All of us experienced the limitations on our travel during the COVID lockdown, and we would see that happening once again. Many of you are business people who travel. Many of you like to travel for leisure, and many of you travel for mission trips with your churches. All of that would disappear if the UN passports, travel passports, become a reality. I'm very concerned for the surveillance mechanisms that are in the UN treaty, the World Health Organization treaty, that would create a surveillance state that would make it impossible for those who disapprove or disagree with the World Health Organization, because they would then be censored. So there are multiple reasons why I am concerned about the World Health Organization's pandemic preparation, preparedness, and response treaty. It is the responsibility of federal elected officials, state elected officials, and judges to interpose themselves between illegitimate treaties and the sovereign citizens of our nation. They have a responsibility to nullify those treaties and those illegitimate agreements. And I'm calling upon our state senators and our representatives to support Josiah Magnuson's Bill 4246, which does just that. It nullifies any illegitimate agreements of the U.S. Senate or the Biden administration that would undermine the sovereignty of our nation, that would provide for travel passports for our citizens, or would in any way undermine the freedom of Americans in our nation or in our state. Please support House Bill 4246, and I'm calling on our senators to create a similar bill in the Senate. Thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. With us today is former State Representative Vic Dabney. He was a state representative during this so-called pandemic and saw how badly things were handled. We South Carolina citizens have to do a better job of standing for God-given rights during the next big event. And we hope another event like that doesn't happen, but if it does, we have to stand for life, liberty, and property for each and every individual, so that we don't have to experience the downturn in society where businesses are closed, people are told to wear masks, and people are pushed to take vaccinations, and they're pushed away from actually taking medicines that would work on their body for the specific virus that's taking place. So Vic, please share some words with what happened while you were a state representative. And just so you know, former state representative Vic Dabney, he does support what we're doing here. This is a noble cause for the state of South Carolina. Thank you, Vic.
Thanks, Evan. You know, while Evan was speaking and Dr. Jackson was speaking, I started almost feeling sick to my stomach. The nightmare that we have just come out of the last few years, that was a test. The next one's going to be a lot worse. And I'm here to show my support for this group, Dr. Jackson, Evan, and these folks who traveled for quite a few hours to get here today. And my purpose today, as I've drove over here, was to help explain briefly what we're up against here at the state level, right here in the State House. 2 years ago, when this really got cranked up, there was a small group of us that fought this. There were about 12 of us that fought as hard as we could in the State House to stop some of this craziness, or at least to let the people of South Carolina know that we were on their side and we were fighting for them. But during the summer of 2021, in a private meeting with approximately 80 members of the House, Republicans, one of our members asked the speaker, the current speaker at the time, Jay Lucas, to put us back into special session so we could put up a bill to fight the vaccine mandate. It, again, just if for nothing else, just to let the people know we were on their side and we were doing everything we could at the State House. Speaker Lucas got very angry at the thought of bringing us back into special session for that reason. Now I'm going to fast forward to a year later, and this will help you understand what we're up against. A year later, that very same man stepped down as Speaker of the House and took a key position as Vice President over at Prisma Health. And that ought to tell you something right there, what we're up against. Now, I will say briefly one other thing. During this same period, there was 11 of us that tried to meet with the governor, 11 members of the House. He finally met with us after 6 weeks. This is in a 6-week period where I was getting phone calls every day from folks who were in tears that they were going to lose their jobs because of this vaccine mandate, and begging me, Vic, what are you going to do to help us? So we finally got a meeting with the governor. He walked into his office, and the first thing he said was, well, fellas, what's the emergency? I won't tell you what I said at that point, but I'm just trying to let you know that's what we're up against. We're in a sad state of affairs in this state and in this nation, and everybody needs to wake up. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. If you can imagine the corruption at the state level, imagine what it would be like if the World Health Organization told us what to do. For those people that would sell us out to Big Pharma, what would the payoffs be for them? So anyways, please support this bill to stop the United Nations from controlling the state of South Carolina. We thank you for watching this, and God bless you.